Now, I'm going to start today with the sort of what's going on with the teams in New York and the teams in California because they're going head-to-head. Mets-Dodgers began last night, and Angels have the 3 games at Yankee Stadium. They play a 4 o'clock game on Thursday afternoon. Nice job, Yankees, giving the Angels a break because they played Friday night at home against, I believe it's Kansas City. Let's start with the Mets, who won last night and have played well, 11-6 right now for New York. And they swept Oakland. They've had an easy schedule. I mean, they've had the Marlins 7 times, and they've had the A's 3 times. So out of their 17 games, they played 10 of them. I'm not knocking the Marlins, but they're not a great team, and the Mets always play well against them and against Oakland, who is just pathetic. So they played a lot, and it's not the A's fault, it's just the way it is. They're young players and everything else. It's not a good team. So the Mets have played 10 of their 17 games against those 2 teams, and they have played Milwaukee and San Diego, and now the Dodgers, and against those 2 teams, well, 3 teams, they're 3-4. But the bottom line is, I like what the Mets did over the weekend. They won a lot of crazy games against the A's. That win on Sunday was very good with Alonso hitting a home run in the 9th inning and then holding on there in the extra frame with guys winning runs on base. Good job from a Met perspective. And then, of course, last night they beat the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium. And they bring up Beatty to play some third base. I'd be a little worried about their starting pitching. I guess Scherzer will go tomorrow night. He's 40 years of age. You wonder about him. And, of course, Verlander, and the Mets need to win in October. But I like what they have done here so far. They've done a pretty nice job of handling their bullpen situation. Robertson and the way Buck has utilized that, so the Diaz loss has not been that glaring so far. They're going to be resourceful offensively. Alonso's had a great start to the year. Lindor's done a good job, too. Listen, do I love the Mets right now overall as, a big-time they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, from that perspective, I'd be very worried about the Mets as far as October is concerned because of their age with their starting rotation. The Mets are going to go as far as Scherzer and Verlander can take them, and you have to be concerned about that if you're a baseball fan, if you're a New York fan, because Verlander hasn't pitched yet. He wasn't great last year in the month of October. 140 innings last year for Scherzer, and not good for him either late. So that is where you are somewhat concerned with the Mets team. But what you like about them, they've been scrappy with 11 wins. They won 2 out of 3 against the Padres, which was important. Nice job in Oakland over the weekend. They should win 3, and they did. And then last night against the Dodgers in the midst of a long road trip. So from that standpoint, the Mets 11-6. 2 back of Atlanta, and they've won 13 of 17 of the Braves to start the year. The Mets are right there. They're not in a Philly situation when they haven't played well, so that's number 1. Number 2 are the Dodgers, and you'd be a little worried. It's weird about the Dodgers. When they win, they score double-digit in runs. When they lose 2-1. I mean, they've lost. It's weird. They've lost a couple games to Arizona 2-1. They didn't score all weekend against the Cubs. They were shut out by San Francisco. So they've been a little scatterbrained offensively. And obviously their pitching, is what it is. Urias lost, but you don't like to see that last game against the Cubs on Sunday afternoon. They're 8-9. Padres aren't that great either, so you're not that worried about San Diego running away and hiding. Rockies are bad. Giants are bad. Arizona's played very well to start the year, though they did lose a series in Miami over the weekend. The Dodgers are 3-5 against the Diamondbacks, so they played the 8 games against them already. They only got about, 6 or 7 left against them. I guess they played 7 games against the Diamondbacks. They got 6 left, only 2 series. I mean, listen, the Dodgers are not going to be as good as they were last year. It's almost like I get the idea they're in a transitional stage, saving their pennies for Ohtani. That's the way I look at it as a sports fan, because that's where I think he's going to probably end up. And I think as of right now, I mean, the Dodgers, with Freeman and with and Betts and, Will Smith's he's got a concussion. They miss him. But I think the Dodgers at 8-9, slow start, 17 games. They're going to win their 88 to 93 games. They're going to be a little less than they were a year ago. They'll be in the playoffs, but they're not as dominant as they were last year. We all know that. I'm not sure what they're going to do at the deadline. They'll be a playoff team, but last year they won 111 and out they went. This year they'll probably watch them make a great run. Dodgers not as good or as intimidating as they were a year ago, and their schedule gets very hard now from here to Memorial Day, including series with the Mets. They have the Cardinals a couple times. They got the Padres a couple times. They have Tampa. So they have a very difficult schedule now. We see how that materializes. The Angels, of course, I would have liked the Angels before. If you asked me to do this before last Friday, I'd be a little happier about the Angels, but they had a bad series in Fenway. They barely got the win yesterday in the ninth inning. They had guys on base trying to nurse a 5-4 lead. They got the last 2 outs against Boston to win a game. They've had a pretty easy schedule. Seattle hasn't been great. They played Oakland. They had the Nationals. So they've had a little advantage there. Obviously, they didn't play great against the Blue Jays. They lost a couple games to Toronto in a bad series here against the Red Sox. They never play well at Yankee Stadium. Last year, their series in New York was horrendous. They won't have Ohtani pitch these 3 games. Yankees have played very well. I like to see how they do here. Under 500, the Astros aren't so good, so they get a little break there. Houston hasn't played very well here to start the year, dealing with Altuve and some of the scenarios that they have to deal with. Lost a series to Texas, so that's an advantage for the Angels that they haven't really sort of been buried in the American League West. Texas has been good, but you think they can hang in there with them. Seattle and Houston, the 2 teams you thought were going to be really good, haven't been great out of the gate. So I guess it's sort of an incomplete report card as far as the Angel goes. Ohtani's been great on the mound. Rendon hasn't been done much, but he's also was suspended for 4 games. I mean, Renfroe did a good job yesterday. Do I love the Angels? No, but I don't have a read on them. Are they going to be a much better team? I don't have a feel on that at the moment. I mean, they should be competent, but much better means 90 wins. Will they get the 90 wins? Let me see a little more as far as the Angels are concerned. I didn't like that series at Fenway Park by any stretch of the imagination. Hung on yesterday for dear life just to win 1 game. Not great against Toronto. So let me see a little bit more from the Angels here before I give you a real understanding. Ohtani's pitched great. He's hit well. Trout's been fine. But I got to see a little bit more from the Angels before I give you a real quick feel there. The Yankees are good. I mean, listen, we figured Stanton was going to miss a month. Nothing new there. Yeah, he's on the IL list every single year, and now he's out a month. I didn't see the play in which he got hurt on. Did he sort of lollygag, thinking the ball was out of the ballpark, and then sprint, which got him hurt? I mean, I didn't see that. Let's take a look at, well, that's some highlights. We don't have the exact play, which he strained his hamstring, but he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. The Yankees are resourceful enough to figure that out, and they don't have, obviously, half their rotation with no Severino and, of course, no Rondon. I think both are still a long way away, but Cole's been great. They can get carried with him. He hasn't given up a home run yet. He's won 4 games. Cortez is very good, too. Their bullpen's been pretty good. So, I mean, I'm not that. I mean, Holmes has been a little spotty. They had that bad loss to Minnesota. But I think the Yankees will be, the Yankees are good. They haven't, Tampa's lost a couple games here now this last 7 or 8 days. They've lost 3 out of 4. So the Yankees, whatever they are, 10-6. They're not buried in the American League East. They're going to have to maneuver with this lineup. Let's see what they do with Volpe, who's played a lot better in the last 4 or 5 games. Listen, Judges hasn't missed a beat. The Yankees are the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees are going to win themselves their 95 to 98 games. Do they hit great pitching in big spots? We'll see how those 2 starters come along. I'm not concerned. The Yankees and Mets are good. There's nothing that has occurred with the Yankees and Mets to make me, think that, oh, boy, look at this. The Mets are going to struggle. Look at this. The Yankees don't have enough pitching, major injuries. Yankees and Mets are very good. All right, they're both going to be in the playoffs, and then we shall see. Yankees, if they can hit good pitching. The Mets, if there's big starters, can go out there and deliver in October. Who knows? The Angels and the Dodgers are the teams I'd be a little concerned about. I don't have a real read on the Angels yet. Game under 500. And the Dodgers are very erratic offensively. Haven't scored a ton of runs in certain spots. One day they pitch great. Another day they score a ton of runs. I don't have a real feel of either. They don't seem to have a dominant team characteristic. Let me see more. So the California teams, I'm not sure yet. The New York teams are both going to be good.